My name is James. I'm 28 years old. I run a company. I met May at the same workplace. To be honest, she was cuter than any idol around and a wonderful woman who was considerate. She liked clothes with lace and had a very elegant girly vibe. But surprisingly, she was quick and reliable at work, and it didn't take long for me to fall for her. I passionately pursued her, and we started dating. A little while after we started dating, I had to go on a long business trip for a year and a half. We cried and talked it over, but in the end, May decided to stay, and we supported each other through a long-distance relationship. As soon as I got back, I proposed. We happily became husband and wife. After getting married, I worked on business trips that lasted about 3 days. Of course, I had no complaints about that. What concerned me was having kids. May, don't you think it's about time we thought about having kids? I'd love to have a girl. Dressing her up in cute clothes and matching outfits with her would be so fun. Since May talked about it so happily, I thought she wanted kids too. But when the time came, she refused.
James, you're away on business trips a lot, and that makes me anxious about raising a child.
Yeah, you're right. That's all I could say. But deep down, I thought that if we kept saying that, we'd never be able to have kids. That said, having a child with me being away on business trips a lot would indeed be a big burden on May. My thoughts kept going in circles. At that time, I had another long business trip. This time it was for 2 months. Since getting married, I had kept my trips to about a week at most. But this time it was an unavoidable trip due to a major project. I asked May if she could come with me, but she refused.
I can manage on my own, so I'll wait for you.
All right, if you say so, May, I'll do my best on my own too. We hugged each other and cried like we did when our long-distance relationship started. Seeing the beautiful tears flow from May's big eyes almost broke my heart. We both knew the loneliness of being apart. We had survived a year and a half of long-distance relationship and got married. This time, it was just 2 months. I believed we could get through it together again. We had video calls every night and exchanged messages every day. But my desire to see May grew stronger each day. I realized I was more in love with her than I had thought. One day, while looking at the calendar, I noticed that my work had calmed down and I had a long weekend coming up. All right, I'll surprise May by going home. I casually asked her in a message if she had any plans for the upcoming long weekend, and she replied that she didn't, so we could have a video call. I secretly planned my trip back home. On the day, I opened the door to our house, excited to see May's reaction. At that moment, something suspicious caught my eye. A pair of men's sneakers. That alone gave me a bad feeling. Moreover, there was a stroller standing in the corner of the entrance. I desperately tried to think. Maybe a male friend had brought his baby over, I thought, as I quietly headed to the living room.
Look this way, cute Natalie.
She really looks like you, May. She's so cute. If she looks like May, then that child must be May's. But we didn't have any children.
Yeah, she has your eyes too, Thomas. She's super cute.
Unable to bear it, I flung open the living room door.
You're back? What about your business trip?
May was surprised. My work calmed down a bit, and I had a long weekend, so I came back. What's going on? Explain it to me, I shouted, looking back and forth between them. I usually don't get emotional, but this time my emotions boiled over.
What's going on? We're enjoying family time.
Right, but I don't understand what that means. I felt like I had suddenly woken up from a dream, and my thoughts were completely useless. It was clearly a strange situation, but May was so calm that I even wondered if I was the one who was out of line.
Don't raise your voice so much. You'll scare Natalie.
May glared at me while soothing the child in her arms. Whose child is that? What's going on?
Of course, it's Thomas's child.
I shifted my gaze to Thomas. He was indeed handsome, but he was smiling without any guilt. He was definitely not normal.
Before we got married, we were long distance for about a year and a half. During that time,
I see. I felt like I was talking to an alien. May worked hard to give birth, but I, Thomas, belong to everyone, so I can't get married. Excuse me?
that's right. Thomas belongs to everyone. so we can't be together.
May, what are you doing here?
We're spending family time together.
Whose house is this?
This is your house, James. Right. Why are you here?
I deliberately ignored the fact that Thomas called himself Thomaston. Whether he was joking or serious, I didn't need to cover for him. The atmosphere turned cold.
Why? Is it wrong for a father to visit his child?
I let out a sigh that was more than just a sigh.
I used to work as a talent. I left because I didn't get along with the agency. Since it will be hard to see each other when I get busy again, we're spending a lot of family time now.
May blushed slightly and cuddled closer to Natalie. So, Thomas, you want to join an agency again?
Of course. A talent like me doesn't come around often.
I thought there were plenty, but I didn't say it out loud. Right, it's great to have dreams.
That's right. Thomas isn't just about making money. He has dreams. Unlike you, James, you were always on business trips, and I was lonely.
I'm sorry, but you knew that when we were dating.
Let's get a divorce.
Her words were so sudden that my thought process stopped again.
I've been thinking about it. How I can be happy. Thomas said he aims to join a bigger agency so his income will stabilize, and he wants to marry me.
What happened to the idea that Thomas belongs to everyone and can't get married?
He's always been just Thomaston, so give up and leave. And leave the alimony behind.
Can I leave for now? I'll be here until the day after tomorrow, so let's talk properly then. Honestly, I was so confused I felt dizzy. If I had stayed there any longer, I probably would have had a mental breakdown. That day, I looked for a hotel to stay in and started walking to give myself a break. I decided to leave the scene to cool my head. At the hotel, I slept comfortably in a large bed and ate a lot of delicious food. I was fully prepared. The next day, I headed back to my house.
Oh, you're here.
When I opened the door, May greeted me, rubbing her sleepy eyes. From her messy bed hair, it was clear that Natalie had stayed over again last night. There were also more unfamiliar shoes in the entrance.
Oh, good morning, James.
Mom?
I asked my mom to come over, James.
A few days ago, I loved May so much, but today I couldn't even look at her. Natalie was sleeping soundly, which gave me a bit of relief.
I still love Thomas. I want a divorce.
May held Natalie's arm and looked at me sadly. Thomas pulled her closer with his arm around her waist.
I was lonely, and this is a good reason for a divorce, right? I don't want to fight with you, James. Just leave quietly and pay the alimony.
Thomaston here is also asking you, James. Please quietly step away from May.
That's right. It's terrible to take a father away from such a cute baby. Just give her the divorce.
May's mom joined in. At that moment, I found everything ridiculous and started laughing. I also felt a bit empty. I don't think we can get divorced.
Why not?
May's eyes changed color as she asked. She looked at me with a gaze mixed with hatred. Thomas is unemployed. Raising a child costs money. How will you manage?
I work part-time, and if you pay the alimony, we'll manage.
Right. But you've been treated well at work because it's my company. Is there any reason to keep employing someone who's doing this?
Are you bringing personal matters into work?
Regardless of when Natalie was born, what you're doing is cheating. Is there any benefit for the company to keep employing someone who cheats? May was at a loss for words. It seemed she really didn't think her actions counted as cheating. May, you're not in a position to demand alimony. May's face turned pale. And Thomas, you want to continue your talent activities, right?
It's an important dream. I won't give it up.
Wonderful. When I clapped, May scratched her nose and smiled proudly.
But I don't think any agency will hire you anymore.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I run several businesses, and one of them is a talent agency. It's called 23 Pro. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I know it. He was shocked and gaped. May also looked at him in surprise. My agency is still small, but recently, the major agencies have started to take notice of the talented actors and talents we send out. I had some information checked just in case. Thomas has been quite a problematic talent, moving from agency to agency. This world is really small. A little information gathering reveals a lot, both good and unfortunately bad. It turns out that the reasons for his dismissal include slandering industry people on social media, stealing a colleague's girlfriend, and embezzling agency funds. The entertainment industry always has a lot going on, so you might have thought you could quietly return when things cooled down. But I still have the information about your affair and hidden child. Eventually, I'll share this information too. You might think it's best to wait until everyone forgets, but that's not the case. When I calmly said this, both of them looked at me in shock. I thought I'd let you know in advance. Even so, Thomas didn't show any sign of apologizing and looked like a pathetic actor continuing his act to hide his lack of composure.
Why didn't you tell me something so important?
May answered, trembling.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
May was pale and shaking. Her mom hurriedly hugged her protectively. Please don't raise your voice so much.
I can't take this anymore. It's over. It's over.
No, I don't want to break up.
May desperately tried to hold on to him, but Thomas coldly pushed her away.
What are you going to do, Thomas?
I don't know. You did this on your own. Don't drag me into it.
I'm sorry, James. Please forgive me.
May, of all people, apologized to me.
I was lonely.
It was my fault for making you lonely. But I can't forgive cheating and a hidden child.
But if you divorce me, I can't live.
May pleaded with a voice that sounded like she was about to cry. Yeah, I understand. But I don't care anymore. So let's get a divorce. We'll talk through the lawyers from now on. I waved my hand dismissively as I tried to leave the living room. I suddenly felt a gaze and looked around the room to see Natalie awake, staring at me with her big eyes. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I know it's selfish of me. As I stepped outside, tears started to flow. After that, I divorced May. I made sure to claim alimony from both of them. May was effectively fired from her part-time job and eventually resigned. I heard she struggled to find another job with similar conditions and ended up juggling multiple part-time jobs. Thomas tried to become a host, but I also run a host club and shared his information. Hosts are in a customer service business with a strict hierarchy. They hate people who slander others or can't handle hierarchy. So he ended up doing day labor. May's mom took custody of Natalie and raised her. After that, May, who was financially struggling, apparently married Thomas. But one day, May's mom visited me at my office. I'm busy with work, so please make it quick.
May and Thomas got divorced.
It's been about 2 years since then, right? That was quicker than I expected. I continued speaking in a calm tone. What caught my attention was Natalie, who was clinging to May's mom's leg with a completely expressionless face. She's about 3 years old, having been 1.5 at that time. She looked unusually mature for a 3-year-old, staring up at me.
If you had accepted them, this wouldn't have happened. You should have overlooked 1 or 2 hidden children.
That's ridiculous. May's mom said that Thomas wasn't Natalie's father. I had already found it suspicious that her face was drifting further from his.
You ruined May's life. Take responsibility and take Natalie in.
May's mom pushed Natalie onto me and left my company in a hurry. I contacted the police, but after some thought, I decided to take her in. The thing is, on the day this happened, I consulted my girlfriend. By the way, she was my secretary and incredibly competent. I got married and found my current happiness. I suspect Natalie's real father is probably a host. A little investigation revealed more and more suspicious information. However, I stopped looking into Natalie's father. Recently, Natalie seems to have accepted us as her family, and she's been smiling more. I don't want to do anything that would destroy this happiness. That's how I feel. There might be times when the lack of blood relation causes anxiety, but I will love her with all my heart.